Well, it seems mainstream media didn't want to report this event, but lots of other people did. So here we go, interviews from people on the march.
BBC, fake news. BBC, fake news. I'm an immigrant. Do you mind me being here? Thank you very much. I'm trying to prove that people...
Swear it.
No, don't worry about it.
Let's get terrorism, you're going to blow me up.
No, exactly. I'm trying to prove that people in this march...
It's not racist.
Exactly, it's just normal...
It's against bombings, people, stuck in train stations, things like that.
Just
no one deserves that.
normal people that just want terrorism in their country.
Not racist.
For the record, as an immigrant, I feel very safe and welcome in this march.
You look to me smiled and I'll stop to talk to you. And you don't come from it. It's not against anyone not from this. It's against people that want to kill people.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
So Annie, we've been out for a little while now. What are your thoughts so far?
What are my thoughts so far? Well, it's brilliant, very welcome, even though I'm an immigrant, beautiful people, and this is the country I love. This is the country I came. Finally, I recognize the country I came. It's been literally, I feel like I want to go into tears. This is the country I love. This is the country I came to live. That's it. Supporting terrorism.
It's not right what they're doing.
I'm an immigrant and I'm with you guys. I don't understand them.
It's crazy.
They're nuts.
It's crazy.
Those people are supporting terrorism.
What they're trying to say is that because white people protest, every white person's a racist, which ain't true at all. It's crazy.
We're marching.
I grew up with black people. That's the way
We're marching against terrorism. They're marching against us. Well, are they standing for terrorists?
I know. Right.
So Annie, you just seen the Stand Up to Racism group and a couple of I think it was the Unite the Union there. Any thoughts?
What can I say, man? It's so sad. Those people are not even taking a minute to listen, to listen what we have to say, to see how inclusive these people have been. Like, I don't have words. The distance between us is just unbelievable, and it just makes me sad. It's angry as well, because if we're marching against terrorism, what are they there for? Pro-terrorism? This is what I'm wondering. I'm never going to get an answer, I guess.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell us why you're here today?
Sorry?
Can you tell us why you're here today, other than the obvious from the medals?
Yeah, I'm with the Veterans Against Terrorism. And it's all about really getting our country back.
I agree.
And trying to urge the government to actually get off their sofas and do something about the terror that's killing our children and our grandchildren.
I agree, because many people seem to think that I'm from Manchester, and after the attack it was nice to see the community spirit, but a lot of people thought that getting tattoos was the answer. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's the answer.
No, I don't think it's the answer. I think just do what we're doing today, get the numbers up as high as you possibly can, create as much disruption to London as you possibly can, with it being the main city.
It's insane that the media are ignoring this as well. I mean, there must be thousands of people here.
That's true. The media's not really... They're pushing the left-wing side of it, and they're pushing the far right-wing fascist side of it, but they're not really going down middle of the road, which is really what we're trying to achieve.
The only reason why we have to come is because of how bad they are. When you describe this crowd, how are you going to describe them in your news report?
Well, we're going to call them what you've labelled yourself, which is an anti-extremist movement.
When your news report comes out on this,
yes,
will you mention the word far right?
If people have labelled it as such, then we have to reflect that.
You should report and reflect what you've met and seen today, have you seen far-right demonstrators?
If people label it as such,
if I label you as a nonce, would you report that you're a nonce? Because there's no truth in it, is there?
To the story.
What you do is word association, which is what all of you media do against ordinary people. These are all ordinary people who have come out to demonstrate. You will do word association of racism, of far right. You've got ordinary people out demonstrating against terrorism, and you, every time the mainstream media, you brand them, and it's not fair. It's not right, and you know that because you're on this demonstration. So
equally, I'm sure you know where those labels come from. You have, calls for tighter immigration. That is a right-wing rhetoric.
So calls for tighter immigration against Islamic terrorism is a right-wing rhetoric. In fact, the Labour Party said talk about immigration, tighter controls on immigration. Everyone does.
Right.
What do you mean a right-wing rhetoric? How's that a right-wing rhetoric?
Well, people would say that is
because this group talks about terrorism and talks about controlling borders, that means they're far right.
It's a far right. Yeah, they could be.
You see, this is what you're up against. This is what you're up against. This is BBC. So if someone identifies as wanting to stop Islamic terrorism and controlling your borders, it's far right.
It would be labelled as such.
By people like you.
But in my opinion, it's absolutely invalid. It's about getting.
You're reporting for the BBC. You're lying for the BBC. You are officially fake news, and you're demonising so many innocent people.
Right.
You make it impossible for people to talk. You do that. That's who you are. You're here to try and get bad footage. That's why you're here. Right. That's your agenda. You have an agenda.
You're frustrated with the media, from what I take from this.
You have a complete agenda when you come to these demonstrations, and you usually don't even report. If you can't get any bad footage of today, if you can't get violence, you don't report.
Do you think there would be violence today? I mean, it's been peaceful so far.
No, not unless far left demonstrators are allowed to get up and throw things at people, which is what usually happens. So
if it was so far right and racist, I'm pretty sure someone would have said something vile to me already, and everyone's been really nice.
That's right, yeah. Everyone's good here. You've got the Football Lads Alliance, so you've got all these different football clubs that have so much rivalry on a Saturday afternoon when they're playing the game, and yet they're all coming together as one to try and eradicate terrorism from the United Kingdom as a whole.
I mean, I said to a lady that I just spoke to, also a man should I say, I think it's really nice because a lot of football fans always argue with each other, always. But today everybody's just united for this one important cause that's facing our country.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's one voice speaking as loud as it possibly can, steering away from the violent action that some groups may want to sort of follow, thinking that violence is the answer. And hopefully Theresa May and her government will sort of pick up on it and help us do something about it.
In my opinion, we need to get rid of Theresa. I don't know if you like her, slightly off topic.
Sorry, sir.
I'm not a big fan of Theresa May. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on her.
I'm not a big fan of Theresa May. I'm not into politics. I'm not into religion. I'm just a sort of plain old simple man, really. But where do you go with politics? I thought politics was all for the people, but it seems that it only looks after a generalisation of people. It doesn't look after every man, woman and child on the street.
I think what's happened with politics is it's gone from being for the people to about the elites, I guess you could call them, using the people in order to further their own agenda and benefit themselves.
That's true. It is all about elitism now, I think. And I think that the government is all there to make money for the people that already have plenty, and yet the people that have absolutely nothing aren't getting the assistance that they deserve. So again, I think that sort of stems back to this terror situation as well, or loosely linked at any rate, because people are fed up with sort of seeing people coming across as migrants or immigrants and being entitled to all sorts of things that our people that were born and raised here don't get recognised for it at all.
It's funny you both separately or at the same time. Why are you here today?
Why I'm here today? Well, because I just think this is very important, and I wanted to come along. Well, a number of reasons. Every time I come on these marches, I meet such interesting, informed, and diverse people who know exactly why they're here and exactly what the problem is. And this march is against terrorism, and they're really trying to stand up and get the government to do something instead of just all the time just doing the lighting candles. Oh, this is not happen again, and never doing anything. So I just find these marches a really great thing to come on because I mean, look at all these people here. There are all these people who are like portrayed portrayed in the media as like thugs and football hooligans and stuff, marching along completely peacefully. They're completely nice, really pleasant people, standing up and fighting for what they believe in. So that's why I'm here, and because you meet such really lovely people.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, similarly, I just feel the government isn't really representing our interests or our safety. I still cannot understand how they can allow back in over 400 known jihadis who have committed themselves, sworn as our enemies to destroy this culture and to destroy us, and they're walking the streets. Who's defending us? There are thousands, over 20,000 suspected jihadis in this country, and I don't feel the government is doing anything about it or tackling Islam and the problems that it creates at all.
Are you absolutely sure you're not a terrible racist?
No. No, I'm not a terrible racist. Nothing to do with race. Islam is an ideology, a religion possibly. I think it just covers all aspects. It's a religious aspect, a cultural, political, social, legal aspect. It covers all aspects of someone's life. And that's what it wants to do. I feel it wants to absorb all aspects of our life. And I think we have to stand up for Western values, democracy, secular values, women's rights, human rights, everybody's rights. And I think that Islam is a threat to that.
I agree. I mean, the left particularly, they like to think that everything is completely equal. But Western society is definitely superior. I mean, it's here where people have freedom of religion, freedom of sexuality. They can do what they want. Women are equal to men, regardless of what the feminists say.
It's open to everyone. It's like sort of like a large family, and if you want to join, you shake hands on a set of shared principles, regardless of your skin colour, the country you come from. I mean, I'm mixed race on my father's side. My grandfather was Anglo-Indian. I have a Malay half-brother who was... I mean, if you look at anyone's life, we all come from different origins, different belief systems. But if we share a set of common values, Western secular democracy, I think the division of church and state is absolutely essential. It gives us our freedom, and I think free speech is what's really concerning me. I feel that we've lost our freedom of speech in this country.
I agree, we definitely have.
How can you scrutinise any idea if the minute you start talking about, for instance, Islam, and it's a set of ideas, a set of principles, you're immediately in fear of your life, or in fear of your job, or in fear of your friendships, or your reputation? And we should be able to scrutinise any set of ideas and hold them up, and the best ideas win in the marketplace of debate. And we've lost that. I never ever thought when I was a young girl or teenager or in my 20s that we would be in this. How did all these ghastly grooming gangs, I mean, how they functioned?
Carry on talking.
Okay.
I'm just going to...
As in stop walking, or is it?
The shot with the UK is going to be the centre of Islamic finance. Sorry, I don't know whether you know, the UK is to be the centre of Islamic finance.
Okay, Johnson, no.
Oh, okay, well, that's the plan. It's all over the UK government website that the UK is to be the centre of Islamic finance. And that's probably a lot of the reason why this country is putting up with so much, more than other European countries. And there's also the United Nations population replacement agenda. You've seen that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So again, there's all these things going on that they're kind of just trying to, I don't know, demolish the Western European countries, I think. But I think that Islamic finance one is a huge problem because the money will drive everything.
Yeah, that's actually, I actually didn't know about that, but that's insane. Can you tell us any more about that
website? I mean, that's as much as I know. There's a project in London and in Glasgow set up to build relations and build Sharia law into finance. And the UK is going to be the centre for Islamic finance in the world. So that's kind of as much as I know, but that is probably why this country is putting up with so much.
I think that the UK is about to basically become a country at this rate if we don't do something about it.
It will be, because the money drives everything.
Money talks. I mean, I always find this really funny. I was saying this the other day. Theresa May selling Saudi, but saying the naughtiest thing she'd ever done is run through a field of wheat.
Exactly. And what's worrying as well, I mean, obviously the banks, you've got the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. They are the United Nations. They are the people who want to centralise control in the world. And they're going to be knocked off their perch soon because cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and all that, that's going to knock the bank sideways because you can trade or do banking transactions through cryptocurrencies, which means the banks are going to be gone. So there's a big fight back about that as well. I know that's quite high level, but that does make a difference.
It definitely makes a difference because money talks.
The United Nations trying to get control of stuff quickly, and then even that artificial intelligence. All that is tied up with all this because it's about central control by the UN, the European Union, and all the puppets that run it. So they basically transfer all the wealth of the West into poorer countries. That's part of the agenda, you know.
Yeah, the Rothschilds, I guess this goes a bit into conspiracy area, but the Rothschilds definitely run. They run the banks.
They do, well, they run the world because Rothschild and Rockefeller
run the banks from the world.
Banks and oil are the two things that turns the world, basically, and it runs through the United Nations. And if you look, this sits in the context of that because that's the way to demolish the West. Do you know what I mean? By kind of, you know, Islamization and all the rest of it. Taking the power away so we can't fight back against that centralised world government, the UN.
I think one of the main tools they've actually used in that is to not just suppress our freedom of speech, but to actively make people feel guilty, not for speaking the truth, or if they don't feel guilty for speaking the truth, but so indoctrinated, which is why it seems when I was at university that they can't even recognise the truth any longer.
Yeah.
I mean, I was saying to two ladies that I was just speaking to then that it's not just, you know, people who, like say Britain or America, European countries that are having Islamic extremism inflicted on them. It's also women within Islam. I'm not sure if you saw the article about one of the ladies who was a wife of one of the men who'd been involved in the grooming gangs in Rochdale. She said that the girls were dirty, but if you read further into the article, they were actually saying that they'd raped them as well, and one of the ladies had got pregnant like 8 times and she'd miscarried 6 times because he was beating her. So by stopping us speaking out against it, they're not helping them either, and the feminists don't say anything there.
One of my best friends, she's a Somalian girl, lovely, from Liverpool. She's phoned me up a couple of times. You know, her husband, he's mixing with traditional people and he started picking on her and bullying and doing all this to her. She's like 4 kids later type of thing, and you know, she's a lovely, kind, good person, and her husband has started to get involved in all these traditional people. So you know, how bad's it going to get for her? Yeah. You know, and there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of Muslim women like that who are terrified, you know, and they can't do anything about it.
They can't speak out in their own community. In one sense, or speaking out against extremism, or even just it's not even, I guess within Islam it isn't just extremism that encourages that kind of behaviour towards women. It is innate within the religion. If you read the Quran, it's easy to find. But they don't have a voice within their communities. They can't go out and speak to anybody. I mean, say one of our husbands was beating us, we could go out into the world.
That's just cozy, isn't it?
Yeah, Richard.
Here we go
in the
again.
direction in the direction of Richard, who is the face that most of us deal with. Richard has been one of the main organisers of this Veterans Against Terrorism. And I'm no doubt that he has got some messages that...
Well, I'm not taking the blame for all of it. There are a few other people involved as well. You know, I'm just the one that puts my face above the parapet. You know, so that's
that is a big decision, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it is a big decision, but you get the best seat on the bus when you do that. You see. So.
You mean you drive it?
Well, no, I wouldn't drive it. I wouldn't drive it, but you can get to sit on it for a little while. But no, I mean, what we've done, we've joined with the FLA for today to do a mega march. Hopefully a mega march. We don't know how many people are going to come. There should be tens of thousands, and we're here on the bus because we're going to be doing some speeches. People from all different backgrounds. We've got former police officers, we've got ex-SAS men, we've got someone from the Sikh community, we've got one of the founder himself, John, the main guy in the football lads. So there's a good mix of people speaking. In fact, we've got, which is a bit of which is really interesting. We've got a guy who's best mates with Keith Palmer, the very brave police officer that was murdered in Westminster, and he deserves a round of applause. He really does. And
that gentleman's also ex-police himself.
He's ex-police and ex-military, so
yes.
You know, he's a really, really good guy. So yeah, we've got him, and yeah, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day.
What would you say to all those people who assume, and they've listened to media or they've listened to friends who've said that basically it's a whole bunch of right-wingers and Nazis coming out. I mean, what would you say to that?
Well, I mean, it's laughable. I mean, you know, this is... The laugh of it is we're more multicultural than the left-wingers are. You know, you've got the left-wingers, you've got a whole lot of white middle-aged men shouting at people from the Asian and from the West Indian community who are marching with us and calling them racist. That's honestly what happens. It's insane. It's just, it's like the world, Turner said, there is no way that this march is in any way racist. That's just preposterous, you know, and it's insulting. It's insulting to the veterans. It's insulting to decent football fans. You know, most football fans are totally multiracial background. I mean, there's, you know, this whole idea. I mean, they need to be going back to the 1960s or 70s to find anything like that, and it's not here. So, to be quite honest, it's actually slander against the movement, and you just wonder what the motive behind that is. Because we're here because of the terrorism. We're here because of extremism. So we're standing against extremism. In fact, you know, there's groups like Unite Against Fascism, and I wish they would actually unite with us because we're against fascism. Right? Wouldn't that be good if Unite Against Fascism actually say, okay, those guys are saying they're against fascism. Why don't we take them at a word and unite with them? So there's an invite to Unite Against Fascism. Come and join us and march with us because we're against fascism too. A lot of the fellas here, the veterans, have fought against fascism all over the world. You know?
Exactly. And so do you think that people have either got to the point where they're so tired of being labelled for something that's completely inaccurate, or they just don't care anymore, or do you think they still find it insulting?
Well, I think I laugh at it because, I mean, it's so ridiculous that you just laugh and you just go, well, look, you know, if you knew my background, you would not call me a racist. It's preposterous. It's the same with all these guys, you know. There's a lot of guys here from mixed race families, you know, I mean, I find it absolutely preposterous, but I don't even want to dwell on that because why should we give them, you know, publicity? I mean, there's like, you know, what is it? There's going to be about 150 people wearing masks calling us fascists. It's a bit strange, isn't it?
I personally think that if anyone hasn't got the spine to turn up and show their face, hides it with black masks, then they're not somebody I would trust.
I think what you've got to do is just laugh at them, ignore them, don't get involved, don't engage with them, don't get involved in any rough and tumble with them, just leave them to it and let them go home after
Okay, so can I ask someone else here a question?
I'll do it.
Yeah? Okay, so what do you think of the lack of preparedness or willingness by mainstream media to actually cover events such as this?
Well, I suppose some of the mainstream media, they want to feature on a narrative, and if the story doesn't fit the narrative, i.e. that these people have come in here, they're not the sort of bother-booted white skinheads, then it's quite boring. I mean, you always follow these accusations of racism. Well, no doubt you'll speak to Mike Owen a bit, who's a black guy, who's a friend of mine, who's actually invited me. It's a rum old situation when a white and a black guy turn up and both can get...
The only reason why we have to come is because of how bad they are. When you describe this crowd, how are you going to describe them in your news report?
Well, we're going to call them what you've labelled yourself, which is an anti-extremist movement.
When your news report comes out on this, will you mention the word far right?
If people have labelled it as such, then we have to reflect that.
You should report and reflect what you've met and seen today. Have you seen far right demonstrators?
If people label it as such,
if I label you as a nonce, would you report that you're a nonce? Because there's no truth in it, is there?
Into the story.
What you do is word association, which is what all of you media do against ordinary people. These are all ordinary people who have come out to demonstrate. You will do word association of racism, of far right. You've got ordinary people out demonstrating against terrorism, and you, every time the mainstream media, you brand them, and it's not fair. It's not right, and you know that because you're on this demonstration. So
equally, I'm sure you know where those labels come from. You have, you know, calls for tighter immigration. That is a right-wing rhetoric.
So calls for tighter immigration against Islamic terrorism is a right-wing rhetoric. In fact, the Labour Party said talk about immigration, tighter controls on immigration. Everyone does.
Right.
What do you mean a right-wing rhetoric? How's that a right-wing rhetoric?
Well, people would say that is.
So because this group talks about terrorism and talks about controlling borders, that means they're far right.
It's a far right. Yeah, they could be. If they had,
this is what you're up against. This is what you're up against. This is BBC. So if someone identifies as wanting to stop Islamic terrorism and controlling your borders, it's far right.
It would be labelled as such.
By people like you.
But my opinion is absolutely invalid. It's about getting.
You're reporting for the BBC. You're lying for the BBC. You are officially fake news, and you're demonising so many innocent people.
Right.
You make it impossible for people to talk. You do that. That's who you are. You're here to try and get bad footage. That's why you're here.
Right.
That's your agenda. You have an agenda.
You're frustrated with the media, from what I take from this.
You have a complete agenda when you come to these demonstrations, and you usually don't even report. If you can't get any bad footage of today, if you can't get violence, you don't report.
Do you think there would be violence today? I mean, it's been peaceful so far.
No, not unless far left demonstrators are allowed to get up and throw things at people, which is what usually happens. So if the police.
Okay, so is there anything that you'd like to actually say as to why you're here today?
Well, the reason why I'm here, obviously, I met Richard in the last meeting in London. It was a veterans march in central London. And it's very personal to me, because I, for one, have lost a friend, Keith Palmer, who was killed. He was a police officer. He was killed. He was a police officer, friend and colleague of mine. Who was killed outside Westminster. And also, I have a friend of mine, Wayne Marks. Unfortunately, he was the police officer who tackled the 3 terrorists by himself at London Bridge. He is now slowly recovering, but it's scarred for the rest of his life. He doesn't know if he's got a career once he finishes, once he goes through rehab. But I'm here to support them and my beliefs. We've got to be worried about our children, their children. We've got a lot of problems ahead of us, and we want to be safe. We need to be safe, and that's the reason why I'm here. I invited my friend Ian, who is also we served together, and Mike, who was my boss when I was in the police. We both retired, and he's saying views. I just heard what Mike has just said. It's not about racism at all. It's about doing what's right for this country. And what's right for this country is protecting everybody in it.
And do you think the politicians have anything to answer for? Do you think that there's reasons of why they are doing the softly approach, that we just don't tend to see any major results? After these, we've had 5 successful terror attacks, and what have we seen? What has actually changed that the public know about?
Well, you talk about softly approach. I believe there is a softly approach. I don't know why. I don't know why we just, the government know of 3,000 people on the warning list. Why are we not doing something about this? Why are they walking the streets, creating havoc, creating fear? Those poor people in Manchester, those children who were killed, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. That could have been any one of our children. And I think the government need to wake up, open their eyes, irrespective of what party they are, open their eyes and realise what is going on. This is not a racial thing, and as Mike has just said, it's nothing to do with race. This is something we need to do for us to protect us.
So, because obviously, we're all tired of the fact that there's groups like this forming, the numbers are getting bigger. We're writing to MPs, we're doing our speeches, we're doing our walks and so on. We seem to get no acknowledgement from anybody. There's this simmering undercurrent throughout society, in all different types, of people who've had enough. Why do you think that they're not facing that? Why do you think that they're not doing that?
I think they're not doing this because they're frightened to offend.
Right.
To offend.
To offend who? The people who are potentially...
Our enemies.
Yes.
Those people who are causing us problems. That's what they're fearing. We do not want to upset. And it's not about upsetting. There's far more of us than these terrorists. We need to nip it in the bud to protect and save our children and our future.
So we all deserve a safe society.
Of course.
Every single one of us.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah. And regardless of your religious beliefs.
Religious belief, race, whatever, creeds, whatever.
The lot. Everybody deserves to be safe.
Absolutely.
And the government is failing in that.
In my eyes, I believe that.
Gentlemen, anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd like to add is that, only have to look at the mix of people that are on this march today. Here we're not looking at a particular ethnic group, we're not looking at a particular political party. There's people here from so many different backgrounds and political beliefs. And what we're just fed up with is that it seems to be a lack of willingness from the authorities and the government and our political leaders to actually grasp the nettle, as it were, and actually say, you know what, we really do need to do something, and I'm sorry if that is going to offend certain parts of our community, but to make our country and the people who live in it safe, I mean, this is the principal responsibility for the government of this nation is to protect the people of the nation. And we're marching today because we feel that that is not happening anymore. And a lot of people feel very, very strongly about that. And especially within the veterans community, the only colour that matters to us is green. We don't judge someone by the colour of their skin, and we don't judge them by their political or their religious beliefs. We judge them by their deeds and their actions.
And sorry, for those who don't have a military background, could you please explain by the colour green?
Green. It's the army colour. It's what we wear. Camouflage, uniforms, everything's green. From your socks to your mug, it's green.
Sometimes you finish.
So that's what we say. We say the only colour that's important to us is green.
As long as it's not your food.
Well, sometimes it's not as well.
Each greens, right?
But it's true. You ask anybody here, do they care about the colour of someone's skin? The answer would be no, of course not. Do you care about someone's political belief? No, not at all. Do you care about someone's religious belief? Not an iota. Do we care about keeping the people in our country and our country safe? Yes, hugely. The vast majority of these veterans here actually fought against terrorism in Northern Ireland and other places. And then to come home and see it happening on a almost daily basis and nothing being actually done by the government, that's why we're forced to take to the streets. And the sad thing is, will any of this be on mainline media today? No, of course not.
Well, that's the thing, is, they're all notified several times with emails and letters and so on like that. And it's a gross deficiency if they don't turn up. It's actually an insult to tens of thousands of people who've actually turned up, but also the hundreds of thousands of people around the country who would like to come along but don't have that opportunity to come along. It's an insult to the people who, we all deserve to have better. We all deserve to be safe in our countries. And we're all prepared to stand up and say that. So I think it's only reasonable that we get given that opportunity to say it. I mean, if everybody can be on television for 30 seconds of fame for something that's potentially not that interesting or not that relevant, this is relevant. This is relevant to every single one of us. How do you know that your school that you take your kids to isn't the next one to be attacked? How do you know that the ladies who go to the supermarket today aren't going to be potentially blown up simply because none of them are, complying to the law that somebody wants to impose on us? How do you know that something's not going to happen to us today? None of us need to or want to live with that kind of concern or fear, and we shouldn't have to.
Well, if you look right now, you've got thousands of people who have served this country.
If you just took the camera outside, how many people are lined up on the outside?
You've got thousands of people here who have served their country. Okay? And we are marching peacefully through our capital city today to say to the government we're not happy with the way things are going. Will that be shown in mainstream media? No, it won't. If we were to all stop outside Downing Street and start throwing rocks.
Hello guys, Red Pill Phil. Absolutely buzzing. What a march. All these people, fantastic. Right? Look at this. This is amazing. I can't turn my camera around, so I'm going to have to turn around. Just look at that. Just look. Everywhere you look. Look at that. Hey? Bristol times 100. Absolutely fantastic. There's the man over there. Try and nip it between the crowds. It's all going on. Fantastic.
I'm being paid in the Dana Branagh.
So, if anyone who's not at this march wondering what the sentiment is like, all I can say is inspiring and empowering. There's so much vibrancy here. Everyone's just chilled. Look, chilled. Not arsed. Not giving up. No surrender. This is what you want. This ain't the mother of marches yet. Probably the younger daughter. Oh, we've got people on balconies watching away. I don't even know where Jordan and Seb are. They've left me all on my own with these Nazis. Feeling quite scared. I'm not on my own. You're on. Oh, brilliant, mate. That's the last thing I am on my own, really. Look at me feeling sorry for yourself. Fantastic.
Just a video for you.
Yeah, no, it's actually going up, mate. Say hello. Yeah, this is going up. So what's your name, Pop? PJ. So what does this march mean to you, PJ?
Excellent. You know, it's all about trying to stop everything. Everyone's fucked off with all the terrorist stuff, you know, nothing's being done, you know, and it's going to be our kids next, you know, our kids, not someone else's, so that's bad enough, you know, so...
You've got to stand up and say something.
And the next one's going to be Manchester, where it should be, you know.
Mate, I can't wait for that one, my hometown.
So many people lost their lives here.
Yeah.
London, Borough Market, people are scared to go out, you know, the kids, you've got to make it safe, and the government are doing nothing, fuck all, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if it takes people power like this to make people see whether they're on the left.
All these cameras here, I just hope some of these are media. First March, there was nothing shown, you know.
Right.
Where this, hopefully, it's going to generate a bit more, you know. People are going to start thinking.
Well, the one thing that I normally get when I've done marches and I've filmed them and I've put them on YouTube, I tend to get a lot of people who, through the comment section, say, I wish I would have gone.
Yeah, definitely.
So you know that you're going to get the same response times 100 with this, just because of the sheer numbers and the fact that probably the narrative for this, and I fell into that I played my part in it, the narrative for this is maybe because it's all football supporters, maybe there's going to be a bit of hooliganism and
this is what the media want all this to kick off, you know what I mean? It never fucking happened.
Yeah.
The first one was such a big police presence, they thought something was going to happen and nothing ever did. Yeah. Chelsea, Arsenal, Millwall, Spurs, all walking together. This one, it's a lot of northern teams that come down, Midlands, northern teams, all the London clubs that come up, Southampton, all over, all united, you know, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to kick off.
It's not about that today.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's the voice, the football fans' voice.
Yes.
And when you've got people like Phil Champion up on the bus, mate, what a speech.
Empowering.
You know what I mean?
It makes you want to grab arms and just go and fight. I mean, that guy.
Yeah, big voice.
Yeah. And, that's a man who knows. He's done his works in the armed services.
Yeah.
He's been in places where he can see this firsthand. So, if anyone can't listen to him and see the common sense of what he's saying, then who is good enough to talk about it, you know what I mean? But no, fantastic day so far, mate. I'm absolutely buzzing. So, you have a good day anyway. Nice one. It's all right, mate. Just look for it on YouTube now. You're going to be famous. Red Pill Phil. Okay? Nice one, mate. You take care. Cheers, mate. See you later. See? That is just the average person who's attending this march. Yeah? Same views as everyone else. Pissed off, had enough. Authorities ain't doing nothing. So it's not about violence, not about hatred. That's it. Red Pill Phil.
The FLA welcomed Stand Up to Racism. Unfortunately, Stand Up to Racism didn't welcome the FLA. Started shouting chants of racist, baby killer, and spitting at the crowd as they go by. Mood changes and they get the boos instead. I remember Stand Up to Racism were far left, but like the far right, both extreme groups. It's supposed to be friendly to the world. Love everybody.
We're stealing the leftist literature.
Oh, hang on, guys. So are you telling me that these the lefties from the Stand Up to Racism have littered?
And we're going to take them and bin them.
So basically you're going to do a civic duty and put rubbish in the bin?
Yes, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. So question to the leaders of the FLA.
Oh, read it out, mate. Read it out.
Today, people have come to join from around the country to join the Football Lads Alliance FLA demo. The march is billed as against all extremism. We are here because we are genuinely worried that people are trying to use the FLA mobilisations to win support for the far-right extremist groups. But why don't you join in the protests and kick out the far-right extremists like we do? Whatever the motives of most of those marching, we do not believe that football supporters are racist or that they are all linked to the far right. Well, that's kind of what you're shouting at us.
So we're taking this trash, and he's got a nice little box over there full of it. And we're taking all this trash that the radical left wing left just lying on the street. The Football Lads Alliance, they left nothing. They cleaned up, they made sure that everyone behaved and whatnot. And now we're just going to get rid of this. Dump all this stand up to racism, give racism the red card. We've even got Socialist Worker newspaper in here as well. This thing is full. BLM, propaganda, it's all propaganda.
Say here a little bit as well. So it's just a very, very brief, why are you here today?
I'm here today because I think our country needs defending. We're being infiltrated, and this sounds like conspiracy theory and all the rest of it, but the facts are Sharia is gradually creeping into this country.
How do you see that happening?
Through the government. The government are allowing it. They're stepping back and allowing it.
And in what forms of Sharia do you see?
Well, look at halal meats, for example. You know, how many supermarkets, eateries, schools, hospitals are now halal?
Without us knowing about it?
I was just going to say, our people haven't been told this. We haven't been given a choice. This has just been forced upon us. Now, the government know this. You know, why?
Well, exactly. So what I would like to see happen is absolutely just one authority looks after that, and it's government regulated. So we know where the money's going. We know exactly, how much it costs. There's no potential scam operation. It's very clearly marked so that people can make an obvious and a concerted decision, a conscious decision on whether they choose to buy something that is halal certified or not. It's a personal choice. We should be aware of it.
And we're not, because the labelling is so obscure, and there are so many different areas that halal is one of them. The fact that Sharia courts even exist is wrong.
Completely, in a place where women are meant to be equal.
And there are a lot of Muslims that actually want to escape from the prison that they're in, and they can't, because Islam is so obtrusive, it's so all-consuming. It's not a religion.
It's an ideology.
It's everything. It's politics, it's law, it's religion. It's not separated.
No. Okay, and so for the people who would like to actually not be a part of Islam, of which there's thousands and thousands all around the world, who feel that they actually can't step away from that without the potential for some serious harm or death coming through to them. So we need to protect those people as well, because there's how many people are being forced into having to comply when they really don't want to.
But you've also got the difference between jihadis and fundamentalists.
Go on, please.
Well, we all know what jihadis are and what they do. The fundamentalists are the silent ones. They're the ones that go to the mosques, and when questioned on whether they think it's okay to stone people, behead people, they don't see wrong in it.
And that could be just the normal person.
They are the normal person attending the mosque. They do not see their behaviour as radical. That is just basic. The way it is, we believe the Quran, and we will carry out the letter of the law of the Quran. And this is happening. We see it. And these Sharia, well, they're not called courts, are they? Councils. Yeah. And that's how the government differentiate between making it acceptable and not. It's not a court, therefore it's not a law. It is, because this is what the Muslims are living by. And you see evidence of it in the great ghettos that have been created. You see it in practice. You see Sharia patrols.
Yes, you do. And so when you get somebody like Donald Trump who turned around and said there's no-go areas in London, and the Mayor of London turned around and says that's actually not right.
It is right.
Donald Trump was correct.
Yeah,
Donald Trump was correct. Thank you, Donald. We appreciate you bringing it to the attention.
Yeah, I do.
When you spoke about Sweden, we know that was correct too.
Yeah, we're being kept in the dark, and I've written numerous us letters, and the responses are so nauseating.
Or non-existent. Non-existent. It's almost like they're hoping we'll go away. Unfortunately, we're not going away because there's a whole concerted
There's
thousands and thousands of people in this country who are very concerned.
And there are a lot of ordinary people. I'm a grandmother. That is where I come from. You know, this is me. I'm a grandmother. I want to protect the future of my grandchildren, and I can't because our government aren't allowing us to.
And what do you think of this whole labelling thing? You know, whether people are saying you're left wing, right wing, they're getting xenophobe, fascist, etc.
I had to look up what far right and far left were. That's how political I am. You know, I had to look up the phraseologies.
This is what the FLA and Veterans Against Terrorism left behind.